What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Color Scheme Breakdown. This is a series in which I talk entirely too long about a particular color scheme in question. I go ahead and I break down what it is, right? What color palette we're looking at for the color scheme. Then I go over a little bit of anything worth noting, any history, anything like that regarding the color scheme for the Force. Then I give you my personal thoughts and ideas about said color scheme, any likes, any potential dislikes, anything worth noting just as a thought ramble. And then I finish things off by giving my basic approach on how I would approach said color scheme. I am not an expert. I haven't done every color possible, but I've done enough painting to know my limits to a certain degree and how to push it a bit, and also how to kind of make it seem like I did more than I actually did, right? So there's that as well, which is very helpful too. It's just meant to be a resource if you so desire. If you have good ability and experience painting, you won't need it at all, but it's just there as a frame of reference if you're curious. In any case, with all that said, up on the chopping block this time for color scheme breakdown is the Exorcist Space Marine chapter, a loyalist Space Marine chapter that look-wise, pretty cool. Lore-wise, I felt was a little cooler back before they were changed to be Rogal Dorn's successors. Nothing against Rogal Dorn, just knowing what the Exorcist history was like and the lore is still kind of like that more secretive, mystical way of everything and semi-unique origin and everything like that, I thought was a lot cooler. But we're here to talk color scheme, so let's do it. So what we're looking at is a really sharp color scheme that is not their original coloration, but it's been their color for a long time. So it is red armor predominantly, black backpack, shoulder pad trim can be either company color or black depending upon what reference you're looking at. Helmet lenses are green, weapons are black. Chapter symbol is a horn skull facing you that can be kind of difficult to freehand given the nature of it. And the chapter's squad markings can be done either in bone, white, or black, depending upon your preference. So, pretty sharp, simple, but effective coloration for the army. Forge World's Badab Warbook really kind of opened the doors a bit for showcasing more of the Exorcist look than just the basic one I went over. So we get to see a veteran in POW armor, we get to see a veteran in Terminator armor, and we get to see an apothecary. So with all of that, we have the veteran in POW armor has a white helmet and shoulder pad trim, very traditional, or you could do it in a nice kind of silvery, chromy, white-y type of look if you wanted to. The Terminator veteran, I could just say Terminator, kind of redundant there, has shoulder pads in black, a chest emblem that's different from the traditional. All powered armor chest emblems that aren't apothecaries, basically, have a bronze gold type of chest emblem. The chest emblem for the Terminator is silver. The helmet is the same color as the powered armor chest emblem of that bronze gold. So you have a bronze gold helmet, you have a silver chest emblem, and you have black shoulder pads with the red armor. The apothecary look is actually nice because it retains the black backpack, it does the white armor, but the shoulder pads are all red, the Narthian reductor part on the arm is red, and the chest emblem is red. So with that said, it's a sharp, effective color scheme for sure. This isn't their first, however. This is their, I guess you could call it, second color scheme. Their original color scheme is quite interesting. The main armor color was yellow. Their left shoulder pad was purple. The right shoulder pad, if it has trim, is black and white checkered. And they have the black backpack still. They have the black weapon still, so that's a nice carryover. What's interesting is the face of the helmet has, like, around the mouth area, almost like a symbolic muzzle is painted black, like in a triangle around the mouth area. And their chapter symbol is very cartoony demon head facing you. So a little silly, but not terrible. Honestly, if you get rid of the checkering on the shoulder pad trim and you get rid of that silly symbol and put the updated symbol on there, would be a pretty effective color scheme, all said and done. But the red is a lot better for sure. So I really like the red coloration. I like the updated Badab War Book interpretation from Forge World for them. I say that because I do believe Forge World had them in one of their earlier Imperial Armor books for vehicles and showcased some of their vehicles there. And they did it just like GW more or less showcases them. More of a traditional red approach to the coloration. Even the Primaris showcase of an Exorcist from GW is showcasing it more so as a standard red paint job close to Blood Angel's red in terms of brightness. Nothing wrong with that, but I do like how Forge World showcased the Exorcist in the Badab War Book. We get to see a bit of cloth, kind of bit of clothiness on one of the pieces of art, which is brown. So you could take that to mean if they do robes and cloaks, whatever, they'd be brown, which is a nice kind of pairing with the red and the black. But outside of that, it looks more like lacquered red. Now, granted, a lot of Forge World's art looks glossier than the actual miniatures, you know, when you see them on the tabletop. Everything, including the Carcharodon's Astra, looked a little glossier because of the page and the ink and everything else. But I feel like it was done intentionally with the Exorcist to give them a lacquered red feel, and I really like that approach personally. It's very reminiscent of Tisca Ruby, or I should say Tisca Ruby will be very reminiscent of this because this came first, but they're different. The Tisca Ruby of the Pre-Ars 8000 Suns, that technique is called, to make them very kind of like that glossy red and everything else, is called Tisca Ruby. That look is warmer in tone and temperature, if you will, than the cooler tone, temperature-wise, of the Exorcist's lacquer red. So there's different ways to achieve that. But I really do like the look from Forge World. And what I like about it is, in Forge World adding extra embellishments, we see symbols and glyphs and whatnot that are different from other factions in 40k that do something similar, right? The Fenrisian ruins are very much Norse-inspired, right, for the Space Wolves. The Thousand Suns, especially pre-heresy, are very much hieroglyphic-inspired, you could say, for their symbols. And the Wordbearers actually make use of a vague interpretation of cuneiform. It's not really cuneiform, but it's like kind of the sharpness of some things and the way it's done. It kind of, to me, references cuneiform a little bit. So it's cool to have different interpretations. The Exorcist interpretation feels very wizard in the High Tower in Europe, Western European magician wizard vibe, right? Something you would see in Ultima Online or in the Diablo series, that type of magical symbol stuff. And I like that because it's different. It helps it not just feel like a chaos symbol or not just feel like an Eldar symbol. It makes it feel like its own thing, and that's good. I like when you can have a variation like that in a setting. So really do enjoy that. And having said all that, I think the ability to put those symbols on your miniatures will be, of course, a little more difficult than the big pictures in the books, but still, thanks to a lot of transfer support out there to buy, you know, decal sheets, transfer sheets, pre-printed of really cool symbols with a variety of degrees, definitely doable. So with that said, I'll go over my thoughts for how you can achieve that more lacquered red color scheme, because that's the way I would go for it. So traditionally what I do for Tisca Ruby on Pre-Ars 8000 Suns is gold as the base, and I put Tamiya clear red over that. I specifically use Tamiya clear red. You could use other clear reds. You could potentially even use contrast red. That might work pretty nice too. I haven't tested it because I don't have a contrast red, but contrast paints can definitely help this out, regardless if you're going traditional red or more of a lacquered red approach. It can really look good. So that's for Tisca Ruby. To do the lacquered red of the Exorcist here, I would do a silver base to give it the cooler temperature tone, because silver is a cooler tone than gold. Gold's a warmer tone. So I would do a silver base, shade and highlight it and all that jazz, dry brush, highlight, whatever, and put the Tamiya clear red carefully over that. Now doing this will give it a very glossy red lacquered approach. You could either maintain that with a gloss varnish, or if you feel it's too glossy for your taste, you can cut it down with a satin or a semi-gloss varnish. A full-on matte might be too dull for your liking, but you could always experiment. That's for the red. For the black, you can do traditional black, you could do contrast black, you could even do a metallic black if you wanted to have it further stand out, and be fine, right? But for this red, as I mentioned, we see ruins and symbols on their armor given their mystical nature and everything else, and the way in which they do things. And to that, I say, awesome. Now, it's going to be a bit easier, of course, on slab-sided vehicles like Rhinos and Land Raiders, but you can do it on leg armor, whether it's Primaris or Firstborn. There are bits that have enough free real estate, and there are small enough transfers that you can kind of wrap it around and do things. And for that, what I would suggest is finding some really cool magic-y symbol stuff that you feel is fitting for the symbols that you see from Forge World's art, and purchase a transfer sheet of those, you know, in black, because sometimes they offer in different colors. Get them in black. Do all the prep work for the miniature, you know, the silver and everything. Get that all prepped and done. Then apply the decal where you want it carefully. Have it, let it sit, let it set, let it get there and be kind of semi-permanent, right? And then very carefully apply the thin coats of Tamiya Clear Red over it. Because if it's too thick, you can actually drown it out, even though it's black lined, right? Because Tamiya Clear Red, when it gets pretty thick, it's pretty dark. But if you're careful about it, especially on those bigger surfaces, to do multiple thin coats to get the smooth coverage and still get the red look, lacquer look you're going for, you will get to see those symbols coming through the clear red. And you can very easily, of course, put a symbol like that over the clear red too, but I think when you have it underneath the armor, or underneath the red, I should say, on top of the silver, but under the red, and then kind of seal it with the clear red over it carefully, it has a more, I would say, like inscription vibe on the armor than just being laid atop the color. But either way could work. You have to experiment and make sure that the decal is not super thick lines to look bad, but definitely a bold enough black line symbol concept so you can see it through the red, because the red, while translucent, is not perfectly clear because it's a red, not a clear, even though it's clear red. Anyways, that will look good, and on tanks it'll be a bit easier to do. You can also do this freehanding symbols if you so desired, but that is up to your skill level. In either case, even if you don't do that, the armor is going to look really sharp in this lacquered red look. Of course, you can also do just traditional red looks. Like I said, contrast paints or the standard paints can do that too. But I really like personally that lacquered red look, and that's what I would suggest attempting over that silver base. Put some really cool occult symbol transfers on the armor that's silver before doing the clear red carefully, and you'll have it kind of piercing through like it's part of the armor, and not just like a symbol painted on, but actually like part of the armor, which I think is pretty cool. Anyways, with all that said, what are your thoughts? Do you collect Exorcists at all? Have you painted anything like that yourself? Share it in the comment section down below. And thanks very much for tuning in and stopping by. So that's all I got this time. Who knows what the next one will be? If any requests, you could of course put it in the comment section as well. And until next time, take it easy.